Alright guys, so got something a little bit different here. This is a watch from a brand I've not checked out before, Boldr, and this is their Venture Diver, but they do actually have quite a few different variations of the Venture, so I'll leave a link down in the description to all of them so you can check them all out because there's far too many to mention here. As you can see from the packaging here, I've got the green star model. You can also see that this is actually titanium as well, and we've got 200 meter water resistance and 38mm diameter. But we'll open it up, get into that in a bit, quickly show you what you actually get in the package. And we've got the tagline, "It's about time," which it actually is, because I've had my eye on Boldr for a while, so about time I got around to reviewing one. So, got a few different bits and pieces in here I'll quickly go over. So we've got the cleaning cloth with the branding on the bottom, and then this at the top as well, just a little bit of fun. So, other than that, we've got this little package in here. So, this little pattern here is actually a little design element they've used on the watch, which we'll talk about a bit later on. Quickly go over what we've got in here. So we've got a couple of little cards thanking you for buying it and talking about their social media and stuff. Then we've got the warranty card. And then, because this is a review piece, it's not signed or dated or anything. Then we've got some Boldr stickers and then just the instruction manual. And then other than that, it's just the watch underneath. So I'm not entirely sure if you'll actually get it in this kind of pouch when you do order one, but it is quite a nice one. Do appreciate that it's actually useful packaging as well. You can use it to take watches around with you. It's not just a useless box. So these are the links I've taken out to get it to fit my 7-inch wrist. And I do like the nice matte finish on this titanium. Do appreciate that. And again, we've got screw links as well, which is always good to see. But we'll get all this out of the way, and then we'll get down to the watch. And here it is. So as I say, this is the green star version, but they do have another version as well. And they have lots of different variations of the Venture in particular. But I'll link to them all down in the description. But before we get down into this properly, let's go over the dimensions on this. So as I said, we've got a diameter of 38mm, we've got a thickness of 12.8, lug width of 20, and then the all important lug to lug is coming in at 44.4, which is a really nice compact lug to lug measurement. So if you've got smaller wrists, this will be ideal for you, but I think it wears on bigger wrists quite well too. And you can see we've also got drilled lugs there too, which is always nice to see. If you do want to take it off this bracelet, you can easily swap it out for another strap. When it comes to the weight, because it's titanium, it is a nice light watch. So with all the links included, it's 98 grams. Size for my 7-inch wrist with those 4 links removed, it's coming in at 92 grams. So now let's quickly show you that clasp, so I can show you the detail I was on about before that was on that card. Because when I first got this, I have to admit, I thought this was actually scratched or some kind of machining error. I didn't realise it was actually detailing that's supposed to be there. I had to check with them, and they let me know. So if you are wondering if you do pick one of these up, that is supposed to be there, don't worry. So when it comes to the clasp, bracelet and head of the watch, it's all titanium, including the clasp, as I say. So we've got 3 levels of micro adjust there. So I'll quickly open it up and show you what it's like. And because it is titanium, unfortunately it is only a pressed clasp, not milled, but again, it is titanium. But that is understandable because titanium is a lot more difficult to work with, so I guess it's forgivable. When it comes to the case back, apparently this is a limited edition case back, so it's not the usual one you tend to get on Boldr watches, something a little bit different. And it is a nice design, and then we got that usual kind of spec sheet around the outside, so Boldr Venture, automatic, titanium, sapphire, and 200 meter water resistance. So now let's take a closer look at the dial. So we've got a fully printed dial, nothing applied, so we've got that Boldr logo at the top, and then the Boldr branding just below that, the text. And then just above the 6 we've got Venture, automatic, 200 meter. And I do really like the attention to detail when it comes to the colouring on this. So you've got a lot of different shades of green going on, understandably with it being the green star. And that's carried over into the hands as well. So we've got that dark green around the minute hand, that dark green tip on the second hand, which is also white otherwise. And then we've got that nice counterbalance with the Boldr logo, which I do appreciate. And then when it comes to the hour hand, we've got a silver surround on that. When it comes to the case of the watch, we've got a really nice finishing on that. It's like a satin matte finish almost, if that makes sense. It's really smooth, really nicely done. Then we've got those female end links there, which help with that lug to lug again. And then those trundle lugs that I mentioned earlier. And that's carried on to the bracelet as well, as I've already quickly shown you, but I'll quickly go over that too. It's just really nicely finished. No sharp edges at all. Just a really clean look. And again, with it being all titanium, it's really light too. So now let's check whether we actually got sapphire crystal on this, using the trusty diamond selector tool. And yep, we have got sapphire crystal, so it's always good to see. And when it comes to that crystal, it is actually a flat piece of sapphire, so no curvature on it at all, completely flat. And you've probably already noticed as well, we've got a good amount of AR on that, so it's helping stop a lot of that glare that you'd normally get. So I do appreciate that, it's nicely done, works well. Now when it comes to this bezel, we'll quickly talk about this. The bezel is titanium, but it has actually got an aluminium insert, so I'll quickly show you this in action. So it's 120 click, it's got no backplay at all, and it's unidirectional as well. So it's going to sound a little bit different to watches you're probably used to because it is titanium, but when it comes to the alignment, that's spot on as well, so no issues there. So overall, I'm happy with this bezel. I've had a couple of other titanium watches where the bezel's a little bit rough perhaps, but that's definitely not an issue with this one. And as I say, this is the only piece of the watch that isn't titanium, this aluminium bezel insert. Normally I prefer a ceramic on my watches, but I do think the aluminium on this one actually suits the watch better. But now let's check out what the Lume's like on this. So you can see we've got a bit there already, but let's charge it up, give it a proper chance. And there we go. So as you can see, we've got C3 on this, and it's pretty impressive when you first charge it up. But obviously, because we've not got applied indices, we've only got a fully printed dial. The dial is going to fade a bit before the hands. But as I say, initially it is quite good. No patchiness at all, evenly applied. So in terms of longevity, the dial and the bezel fade a little bit quicker than the hands and that Lume pip. But if something is going to fade first, that's definitely the way you want it. You want those hands to be hanging on the longest, and obviously that Lume pip as well means it is actually useful. So obviously the Lume overall can't compare to divers that have like applied indices, so it's not going to be beating any of them really. But for what it is, for a fully printed dial, I'm pretty impressed. As I say, the hands will last you a good amount of time, as will that Lume pip, although that does fade ever so slightly before the hands again. So, pretty good Lume. About on par with what you'd expect. Not the best, but by no means the worst. So now, let's talk about the movement on this. So, quickly unscrew this crown at the 4 o'clock position. And then we've actually got a little bit of detail on that crown. You can see we've got that green section in the centre. Just again, attention to detail, carrying on that green theme throughout the rest of the watch. So when it comes to the movement on this, we've actually got an NH35, although they have actually altered it slightly, because if we pull this out you can see there's only the one position, so they've removed the date function. So again, we've got the attention to detail there. It's just carried on throughout this watch. So change the time now, pop it back in, and then you'll see the second hand re-engages. So again, we've got hacking still, and we've got hand winding as well, again, as you'd expect. And then obviously we just screw it back down. All works, no issues at all, as you'd expect with the NH35. The only difference being, we just don't have that date function on there, because the watch doesn't have a date window. So you're probably wondering, how much is this going to cost you? So it's coming in at $449, which is about £371, about 427 euros. So obviously it's not a cheap watch by any means, especially when you compare it to AliExpress watches, but again, this is something pretty impressive. You've got a fully titanium watch, apart from that aluminium bezel insert, including the clasp, which yeah, is only pressed, but again, it is titanium. You've got those drilled lugs, you've got the female end links, you've got that nice application of AR on the dial, you've got that limited edition artwork on the case back. So I think it is just a really nice overall package. As I've been saying throughout the review, it's the attention to detail with this one, the little touches, the consistency with the overall colour and theme of the watch. I'm assuming that'll carry on with the different variations you get. You've got 200 metre water resistance, you've got the 120 click bezel, and you've got that customised somewhat NH35 with that removed date function. So all that's left to do now is show you what it's like on wrist. And this is what it looks like on my 7-inch wrist. So as I say, it does wear really nicely with that short lug to lug and those female end links. And because it's titanium, it just feels really light on wrist as well. And as I've said, the finishing on the bracelet and on the case is just really nice. No sharp edges or anything at all. Really smoothly finished. It just hugs your wrist. Wears really, really nicely. And I do like the fact that they used the aluminium bezel on this. I think it definitely suits the watch well. I think it looks better than a ceramic one would have done. So overall, I think it's a really good piece. If I did have any issues or anything that I'd improve and change, it's probably only one thing. I'd like to have seen applied indices. For two reasons. Obviously applied indices are always nice. Just adds a bit more of a premium feel to a watch. But also it'd probably help improve the lume on the indices as well. Because as I say, they do fade a bit before the hands. Other than that though, perhaps they could have used a Miyota 9000 movement or something like that, which would have helped reduce the thickness a little bit. And obviously that is a high beat movement as well, so that would have been a nice added bonus. But as I say, I wouldn't call those deal breakers. I think, as I mentioned earlier, what you're getting, it is a pretty compelling package. If you're interested in picking one up, links down in the description as always. But that's it for this one guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.